Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're kind of shifting gears a little. Instead of, jumping to a new system, we're diving deep into the one we know best, the UEE. And we're getting up close and personal with some of the weird and wonderful creatures that call it home.
That's right.
We've got reports from all over, dossiers on everything from, get this, a fish with a thing for lifelong love,
Oh.
to a creature so massive it could swallow a space station whole.
It's remarkable the diversity we're talking about.
So buckle up, everyone, because this deep dive is about to get wild. We're talking bizarre adaptations, surprising behaviors, ecological mystery.
And let's not forget those cautionary tales. Invasive species, the impact of human activity.
It's a lot more than just cute creatures, folks.
Though we'll have our fair share of those too. What I find truly fascinating is that these creatures, as diverse as they are, they reveal the power of life to adapt and thrive, even in the most unexpected places.
Okay, I'm hooked already. So where do we begin? Let's start with something familiar, something to remind us that even the planets we think we know still hold hidden wonders. I'm talking about the banded vessel from the warm waters of Terra's Animus Sea. Now, I know what you're thinking, a fish. Seriously, but trust me on this one. The banded vessel is anything but ordinary.
Absolutely not. This fish, with those distinctive blue and white stripes, it's a master of disguise in the coral reefs. Those stripes aren't just for show. They're crucial for their survival.
Right, ambush predators blending right in, waiting to surprise their prey.
Exactly. And here's the thing about banded vessels, they're surprisingly romantic.
Wait, romantic? We're talking about fish here.
Hear me out, because this is incredible. These fish are monogamous, forming pairs for life. And their bond is incredibly strong, so much so that, well, let's just say a widowed vessel might never seek another mate.
Wow, that's some serious commitment right there. So it's a love story and a survival tactic all rolled into one. Nature is amazing, isn't it? And here's a fun fact for our listeners. Thinking of adding a banded vessel to your home aquarium. Be prepared to invest in a tank that's basically a small swimming pool.
They can grow up to 1/2 meter long, these fish.
1/2 meter. So much for a cute little addition to the living room. All right, from the warm waters of Terra, we're taking a bit of a detour, heading to the chilly plains of Microtech to meet a creature whose story is as much about human ambition as it is about natural adaptation. I'm talking about the boreal stalker.
The boreal stalker. Now there's a creature that embodies both the promise and the potential pitfalls of terraforming.
Right. Microtech, they had this vision, this dream of a paradise when they purchased Stanton V.
And as we know, planets, they have a way of throwing curveballs.
Yeah, like turning your tropical getaway into a winter wonderland. I guess that's how Microtech got its name, huh?
Exactly. And of course, many of the species introduced during terraforming, well, they just couldn't survive the unexpected cold.
So what do? Pack up and move? This Microtech we're talking about, they don't back down from a challenge.
No, they don't. Instead of adapting to the environment, they decided to, well, adapt the creature itself.
Oh, hold on. They engineered a solution. That's some next-level problem solving.
Precisely. And that solution was the boreal stalker, specifically designed to thrive in this colder climate, filling a void in the ecosystem.
Talk about making the best of a chilly situation.
Oh.
Speaking of adapting, our next creature is a master of it, albeit in a way that makes you scratch your head and say, how did that happen? Get ready for the flow pet.
Ah, the flow pet, a seemingly harmless creature. But their story highlights the importance of understanding ecosystems and the unintended consequences of disrupting them.
Yeah, because these little guys, they might look cute and glowy, but trust me, they're tougher than they look. Originally from Schiss, ended up hitching rides on spacecraft. Some smugglers thought they'd found a tasty new snack.
And they discovered that looks can be deceiving, completely inedible to humans, these flow pets.
Yeah, not everything that glows is a delicacy, right? But hey, that didn't stop them from becoming a short-lived fad as pets.
Which, of course, only made the smuggling problem worse.
And because these flow pets are incredibly resilient, they're like the ultimate survivors. They've established themselves on countless human-inhabited planets. Like they're the ultimate accidental tourists, except they decided to stay.
Precisely. It's a cautionary tale, their story. Even with seemingly harmless creatures, introducing them to new environments can have unforeseen consequences.
Words to live by, folks. Words to live by. Okay, from a resilient slug to a creature that's all about resilience. We're talking about the giant Yarmoth from the planet Yar. Now, I'll admit, bugs aren't usually my thing, but this one's special.
With a wingspan of about 20 centimeters, it's hard to miss. A striking example of how life finds a way, even in the harshest environments.
And we're talking harsh here. The red desert of Yar. Just surviving there is an accomplishment. But the giant yarn moth doesn't just survive, it thrives, sipping nectar and juice from whatever it can find.
It's the primary pollinator for several plant species in the Red Desert, including the iconic Cavisha cactus. Can you imagine?
So not just a pretty face then. It's a beautiful creature with a crucial job to do. It really goes to show, even in the most extreme environments, life finds a way.
It often relies on these intricate connections between species.
And speaking of connections, let's dive into a story that takes us back in time. From the arid desert to the depths of an ocean lost to time. Get ready to meet the Camposi magnus, a creature that's a testament to the incredible power of deep time.
Known only through fossilized remains, the Camposi magnus is a creature shrouded in mystery.
But what we do know is awe-inspiring. Imagine this, a 12-meter-long, tusked aquatic creature just patrolling the depths millions of years ago.
Roaming the oceans of Campos long before humans even entered the picture.
And their fossils, they offer us this glimpse into a truly alien past.
The exact cause of their extinction is still debated, but current research. Well, it suggests that a massive underwater volcanic eruption might have been the culprit.
Talk about a bad day at the beach. But even though they're long gone, their legacy lives on. Their images are everywhere on Campos and their fossilized remains. They give us this unique window into the history of the planet.
And the mysteries that still lie buried beneath the surface.
Okay, after that heavy dose of extinction, let's lighten things up with a creature that's very much alive and flitting about. Let's talk about the Kiami from Crusader.
The Kiami. Small, seemingly insignificant, but absolutely vital to the Crusader ecosystem.
Right. They're like the potato chips of the sky. Everybody's snacking on them. But here's the thing. They reproduce like crazy.
A single female can give birth to thousands of young at a time, and they can breed again within days.
Thousands. Wow. That's a lot of Kiami. But I guess when you're on everyone's menu, you got to keep those numbers up.
Exactly. It's crucial for maintaining their population in the face of constant predation.
And when we talk about predation, well, we can't ignore the creature that relies most heavily on the Kiami. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is where things get really interesting. It's time to meet the Stormwall.
Ah, yes. The Stormwall, the largest known flying creature in the UAE, a testament to the power of evolution.
We're talking 100 meters long, folks. That's longer than a football field soaring through the sky. And their diet, well, let's just say they have a hearty appetite for Kiami.
About 1,500 kilograms of food per day, to be precise.
Okay, that's a lot of Kiami. How do they even catch that much?
They've developed these remarkable cooperative hunting strategies.
Cooperative hunting. In the air, tell me everything.
Groups of stormwolves will fly in these coordinated patterns, creating what essentially amount to miniature vortexes. These vortexes, they corral their prey, the Kiami, into this dense ball, and then they take turns swooping through this concentrated mass of Kiami, scooping them up by the thousands.
Wow, it's like a perfectly choreographed ballet, but with a side of, well, mass consumption of tiny creatures?
A brutal ballet, perhaps, but a fascinating example of the intricate dance between predator and prey.
It's a good reminder that survival in the UAE often depends on these complex relationships, these connections. Speaking of survival, let's turn our attention to a creature that's a little closer to home. A reminder that even the most familiar creatures have stories to tell. I'm talking about the Leyland's tortoise.
The Leyland's tortoise, originally from Earth. They serve as this poignant reminder of the impact human activity can have, even on the most resilient of species.
Right. I mean, they were once everywhere on Earth. But habitat destruction, our fascination with collecting them, it nearly wiped them out.
Fortunately, conservation efforts are helping. There are strict protections in place now, and captive breeding programs have helped their numbers rebound.
It's a good reminder that we can turn things around when we put in the effort. And these tortoises, they're definitely worth protecting. Did you know they can live for over 100 years? Over 100 years. They've been introduced to a few other planets, although there was that one incident on Laki.
Let's just say the Banu have different tastes.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. But hey, on most planets, they're thriving, which is great news. All right, get ready to meet a creature that's both incredibly useful and incredibly adorable. We're heading to the lush forests of Ryzian to meet the Inji.
The Vunji. Now, this creature is a perfect example of a symbiotic relationship between two species.
Symbiotic might be an understatement. These creatures are like the Swiss Army knives of the animal world. They're intelligent, agile, even semi-aquatic, moving seamlessly from land to water. And the Shan use them for everything. Pest control, fishing, you name it.
They're incredibly adaptable and surprisingly intelligent. Some studies even suggest they're capable of a degree of problem solving and learning.
And they're just so darn cute with those big eyes and sleek otter-like fur. They even make this adorable yow yow sound, hence their nickname.
Though sadly, their popularity as pets has contributed to their endangered status on their homeworld.
It's a good reminder that even when we're enchanted by a creature, we have to admire them responsibly.
Okay.
You're ready to have your mind blown, because our next creature, it blurs the line between animal and, well, something else entirely. It's a Fer's ape, and it's got scientists buzzing.
The Fer's ape is remarkable. They display an intelligence and a capacity for tool use that's rarely seen outside of, well, humans.
And I'm not just talking about using tools. These apes, they build their own shelters. Some scientists even believe they could be on the verge of even more complex behaviors.
What's fascinating is that their tool use, it doesn't seem entirely instinctual. There's evidence of learning, adaptation, even cultural transmission of knowledge between generations.
Wait, so they're learning and passing down knowledge? That's incredible. And thankfully, they're protected by the Fair Chance Act, which means we get to observe their evolution without interfering.
It's a good reminder that we share this universe with other intelligent species, some of which may possess capabilities that rival or even surpass our own.
It's a humbling thought, for sure. Now, let's talk about a creature whose beauty almost led to its demise. The Midas fish from Cassell. They come in this kaleidoscope of colors, but it was the gold variety that almost became too popular for its own good.
The Midas fish is a perfect example of how, even with the best intentions, human actions can have unforeseen and often detrimental consequences for other species.
Yeah, the demand for them, especially that gold variety in the aquarium trade, it nearly drove them to extinction.
It's a good thing Cassell stepped in when they did, put a stop to it.
Absolutely. Strict protections, a dedicated breeding program. It's amazing what they've accomplished. The Midas fish are making a comeback.
It really highlights how important those conservation efforts are. It's our responsibility to protect these creatures, these amazing life forms we share the universe with.
Couldn't agree more. It's a good reminder that our actions, they have ripple effects. And sometimes those ripples, well, they can be devastating. Speaking of ripple effects, let's dive into a story about a creature whose impact on its environment is, well, impossible to ignore. I'm talking about the Thorshoe Gray from the deep waters of Terra.
Ah, yes, the Thorshoe Gray. 6 nimble legs, incredibly sharp claws. There's something else.
They're considered a delicacy on Terra, that lake meat, right? But they're also known for their intelligence.
And their resourcefulness, you could say. Remember those Thorshoe Gray that figured out how to break out of their aquarium?
Oh yeah, that video was everywhere online.
Yeah.
Those little guys are like armored Houdinis, I swear.
It's true. Their ability to problem solve, navigate complex environments, it's really quite remarkable.
Shows you intelligence can pop up in the most unexpected places. All right, from one fascinating creature to another, and when I say fascinating, I mean colossal. Let's talk about the Valakar from the planet Lyra III.
Now, there's a creature that embodies the awe-inspiring scale of life on some planets.
We're not just talking big here, we're talking calling the UE Marines big.
Try over 300 meters long.
300 meters. That's longer than a Star Destroyer.
Their immense size, their omnivorous diet, let's just say they present a significant challenge for the folks trying to settle on Lyra III.
I can't even imagine. You're trying to build a house, and suddenly a creature the size of a skyscraper could just pop up through your living room.
And they can move through the sand with surprising speed, incredibly agile for their size.
Okay, so maybe not the best neighbors. All right, so from a creature that reminds us just how awesome nature can be, let's turn to one that, well, it's a lot smaller. But it reminds us that size isn't everything when it comes to impact. Get ready for the Vindle, a small fish with a big appetite.
And an even bigger impact, some might say.
They're native to Loch, right? And they're actually pretty helpful.
They clean up the rivers and ponds, eating waste, keeping things in balance.
See? Totally useful. But then, well, then someone had the bright idea to bring them to other planets.
For aquariums, you see.
Ah.
The best of intentions, as they say.
And what happened? Did those aquariums hold them?
Let's just say the Vindle is as tough as it is hungry. A natural survivor.
And now they're an invasive species on a whole bunch of planets,
Mm-hmm.
thriving even in the murkiest water.
It really underscores why we have to be so careful when we start introducing species to new environments.
No matter how small, no matter how harmless they seem, what might be helpful on one planet could be a disaster on another. All right, are you ready for a creature that looks like it wandered straight out of a sci-fi movie? Because it's time to meet the Zephapod.
Ah, yes, the Zephapod. Now there's a creature that challenges our understanding of. well, pretty much everything.
People call it the blind oni crab because, well, it kind of looks like a crab if crabs had faces.
Yeah.
But the blind part, that's because its eyes, they're basically useless.
They navigate using a whole different set of senses, chemoreceptors that allow them to taste the water, for example.
They taste their surroundings. That's wild. But it's how they get around that's truly out of this world.
Instead of walking, swimming, flying, anything like that. The xephopod inflates itself. A mix of hydrogen and helium, quite ingenious, really.
Wait, hold on. They become a living balloon.
Essentially, yes.
That's incredible. And a bit ironic, considering how they've managed to, get around.
This master of buoyant travel is also, unfortunately, a notorious invasive species.
Hitching rides on spacecraft, catching air currents.
They've managed to reach some very far-flung corners of the UEE, that's for sure.
It really makes you wonder, what else is out there? Lurking in the depths, soaring through the atmosphere.
What other incredible adaptations has life come up with?
Exactly. And what other surprises does this vast universe hold? I mean, we've only scratched the surface, right?
Yeah. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? We get so caught up in our own corner of the galaxy, but there's so much more out there, so much we still don't know.
Which is why we love doing these deep dives. Always something new to learn, something new to discover. Okay, so before we wrap things up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
After exploring all these creatures, their stories, I'm struck by this recurring theme of interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah, how everything is well connected. The fate of each creature, no matter how small, how seemingly insignificant, it's intertwined with the fate of others, and with our actions as explorers, as inhabitants of this universe.
We've seen that firsthand, haven't we?
Yeah.
With the Vindel, the Zesopod, even the Leyland's tortoise. Even our best intentions can have, consequences.
Precisely. Which is why it's so important to approach new worlds, new encounters, with a sense of humility.
And responsibility.
Absolutely. The decisions we make today as we venture further into the stars, they'll shape the future of these ecosystems for generations to come.
So as we continue to explore, let's remember these weird and wonderful creatures, their stories. Let's marvel at their adaptability, respect their role in this delicate balance of nature.
And tread lightly, I would say, as we venture into their world.
Beautifully said. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey across the UEE. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep an eye out for those unexpected wonders, the ones that make our corner of the galaxy so extraordinary.